Hello and welcome to the Context Podcast. This is where we review stories that were reported by the Namibian newspaper over the past week. My name is Enoke Kaumba and I'm joined by my colleague
John-Colin Namene.
Alright, let's get straight into it. We start off with the news that some Namibians are rejoicing about, but some are dissatisfied with. Last week it was revealed that Germany is willing to pay Namibia 1.1 billion euros, that's about 18.6 billion Namibian dollars over 30 years, that is, in projects of reconciliation and reconstructions of communities affected by the genocide as a form of reparation. State House Press Secretary Alfredo Hengari confirmed to the Namibian that the German government had accepted that the 1904 to 1908 massacre of the Herero and the Nama people had been a genocide and had offered an apology to Namibia. Opposition political parties have labeled the German government's offer to make amends for the brutal extermination of the Herero and the Nama people as an insult to Namibia. Landless People's Movement spokesperson Joyce Mazengua says the deal Namibia reached with the German government on the genocide has nothing to do with the Herero and the Nama people, but it was a bilateral agreement. Rally for Democracy and Progress RDP President Mike Kovekotora believes that Herero and the Nama communities are at the mercy of God, blaming the government for being weak in negotiations while traditional leaders had their own agendas. Popular Democratic Movement Ina Hengari suggested that wide consultations should take place on this offer. However, she labeled the offer as an insult as well. The party further called on opposition parties to unite against this offer in parliament to show a strong front as they plan a gathering with the descendants of the victims of the genocide. Now on Friday, the Herero and the Nama traditional leadership, among others, protested against what they describe as an unjust settlement deal between the Namibian and the German governments.
The goal of reparations is to make the injured party whole. In other words, put the victims in the position they would have been but for the harm that was done. Remember that our head of state during the State of the Nation address, in reply to my question in 2017, said that the government had approached the UN system to arrive at a figure of 400 billion Namibian dollars submitted to Germany. In this case, that is a contradiction. Today, we are talking about 18.6 billion Namibian dollars to be paid over 30 years that will not meet the objective of reparations. Therefore, Parliament cannot entertain such flawed agreement and it should be rejected.
On a rather unfortunate note, the first couple tested positive for the Covid-19 virus on Wednesday evening. Through the Presidential Press Secretary Alfredo Hengari, State House confirmed that President Hage Geingob and First Lady Monica Geingos had mild Covid-19 symptoms but are in self-isolation and in good spirits. Various leaders, including Popular Democratic Movement leader McHenry Vanani, wished the first couple a speedy recovery. We too are wishing them a speedy recovery.
A Windhoek family was given the wrong body to bury on Saturday at Hobabis and demanded that action be taken to prevent this from happening to another family. Now, the Kauraiza family was told by a funeral undertaker that their mother's body could not be found when they called to find out how far Mikhail Kauraiza's body was while waiting for a coffin to arrive at the cemetery. The health ministry on Wednesday then had to tell the Ohenze family, who had buried Kauraiza, that they had buried the wrong body. Both deaths in this story were COVID-related deaths. Kauraiza's family, who on Sunday gathered to bury her at Aminus, were left devastated when the coffin did not arrive from Angel's funeral services as scheduled. It was only later that the family was informed by the undertaker that their mother's body was mistakenly given to another family to bury at Hobabes the previous day. Speaking on behalf of the Kauraiza family, Mikkel's son Mirvan, who is 31 years of age, said his family has been dealt with a double blow. He said Angel's funeral services requested his family to bury his mother on Sunday as they had too many bodies to transport on Saturday. The family agreed and waited for the body of their loved one to arrive at the cemetery at 1 o'clock as scheduled. However, it never arrived.
Health Minister Kalumi Shangula on Friday briefed the nation at the 28th National COVID-19 public briefing at State House. Shangula stressed the country's new COVID-19 cases are as a result of the non-compliance with public gathering regulations. He amended the public health regulations that come into effect on June 1st and will remain in effect until July 1st. The important details about the new regulations are as follows. Attendees at public gatherings are reduced from 100 to 50 people per event. This is for indoor and outdoor events. Curfew remains from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Spectators at sporting events limited to 50 people and contact sports are prohibited. Namibian students will be exempted from PCR tests when departing from the country. Any person presenting a fake PCR test will be prosecuted, and non-Namibians found with fake tests will be deported at own costs. Burial regulations remain unchanged. Now, these are among the many and new existing health regulations to assist the government in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic.
And finally, we look at a human interest piece that was published last week. The piece is titled A Long Walk to Education. We read about young Helena Nakagumbo who wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning to prepare for her 2-hour walk to board a taxi to campus. Now, the 18-year-old walks 7 kilometers every day from Etemba village to hike to Ongwediva's Ifikepunye Pohamba campus to achieve her dream of becoming a science teacher. Accompanied by her father, Johannes Nangolo, it takes them 2 hours on foot to reach the main road. They say their goodbyes as Nakagambo hops into a taxi while Nangolo walks back home. Most of her classes start at 7:30 and she pays a total of 40 Namibian dollars as taxi fare to go to school and back to the meeting point where her father waits to walk her back home. She walks a total of 14 kilometers every day. This is because of a financial situation, as her parents are too poor to rent her a room at Ongwediva or Oshakati. Her father is unemployed while her mother works at a salon in Ondangwa. Wow, what an inspirational story there. And that's all we have for you today. Do care to join us again next week. From all of us, it's bye-bye.